Thanks for staying. I know you're all exhausted. It's like the end of the day, and thanks to Joe McNally for warming you up for me. So I have a few things that I want to talk about. You know, I'm one of these people that I have a hard time editing my own pictures, so I show you lots and lots and lots of them, but I'm going to do them fairly quickly. I'm a commercial photographer. I'm a photo educator, as Kenna had said, and I lead travel photo workshops, and I do workshops, you know, portraiture and lighting, and I teach all over the world. So I love people. I mean, what I have down here is I'm a lover of light, I'm a lover of life, and I'm a lover of people. And travel photography to me is a way to, you know, I always grew up saying, I want to go everywhere, I want to see everything, I want to meet everybody, and then I want to be able to tell everybody else about it. So part of what I'm doing here is I kind of feel like I'm on a calling to be able to show people what it's like to be in another culture, place, continent. It's just a different place of being. So, you know, I have a bunch of quotes that I'm going to give you, and the first one I'm going to give you is, some of you are probably familiar with, do you know wherever you go, there you are? You guys know that? You know, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? So I do travel workshops all over the place, and I'm going to show you some samples of some things that I've done. So the first thing is that for years now I've been going to Venice for Carnival. And Dave Nightingale is a friend of mine. He's an English photographer, and we've been going for several years. So Venice, you know, everybody dresses up. These people wear these amazing costumes, but they spend thousands of dollars. Some of them come year after year after year. Some of these pictures have been taken with natural light. Some of them are using flash. So there's a variety of things. I love this because there was so much fun, there was so much color, so much enthusiasm. It's hard to not get a good picture because everywhere you look, there's something going on. The little known trick to going to Venice is that the people who are in costume will show up in St. Mark's Square before dawn, because they know that only the serious photographers will be there. So a lot of the pictures that I'm showing you were shot before the sun has come up. I'm using flash, I'm dragging the shutter, I'm shaking the camera a little bit. I play with all kinds of things. And you know, you've probably heard the thing, it's all about the light. And it really is, it's all about the light. It's all about that you're using your light to craft your image, to be able to get your feeling across. This is, I'm here sponsored by Fuji. This is actually with the Fuji flash and the Rogue grid on the camera, so I'm lighting them and then dragging the shutter to balance everything else in the background. And as you can tell, that this is before dawn. Some people are their own light sources, so you know that's always kind of fun. And then of course we have the golden hour, both the morning and the late. This was shot maybe 15 minutes after the sun rose. Same thing with this. I use every lens, I use every trick I can, because why not? You know, you've got to try everything. Sometimes you get lucky and you just find the light. In this particular shot, it was really just the sun coming through the arch and making this spotlight on this person. It was a no-brainer. Sometimes you don't have very good light, so now it's about the gesture. You all know about J. Maisel, light, color, and gesture. It's really true. You have to have the combination of all of those. In this case, it was a completely overcast morning. There wasn't any light. There wasn't anything going on. So I really just concentrated on the gesture of the story that these people were doing. I do love to do the drag the shutter, using the flash and ambient light, and then shaking the camera, zooming the camera, doing a variety of things like that. You never really know exactly what you're going to get, but you know, film is cheap these days, right? So you get to experiment. Steinbeck says, a journey is like a marriage. The certain way to be wrong is to think that you can control it. And that's part of what this is that you're out there and you just have to try things and you have to see what's going to happen. It's also very helpful if you have a husband, like I do, Lee Varys, who is my voice-activated light stand, and knows that when I come across somebody who's dressed like death, that he takes the flash and puts it underneath. And the eyes. You know, you've heard the thing about the eyes are with the windows to the soul. But it's really where you're going to make the connection with people. So having the eyes really be there for you to make that connection, to me, really stands out. I am the type of photographer that I like to talk to people. I come up, I engage them. I don't speak anything but English, and even that, not all that well sometimes. But you can communicate in other ways. I like to have the people look at me. I like the interaction. I'm not one for having people look off and do other things. So it's really, for me, that's what I like. I like to have that direct connection. I also like to shoot the regular people who are around, not just the people who are all in the costume. And you know, you have to shoot, you go to Venice, you have to shoot the gondoliers and make them heroic because that's who they are. Musicians, I'm always following musicians around wherever I can. When we do these trips, we also hire models. So some of these, we set up models, we hire the costumes, and then we have control over them. So there's another before dawn. And in the last year, I had one of my Fuji cameras converted to infrared, and it's not a complete infrared, so I still get some visible light. So I just want you to see the comparison between the natural light, and that's straight out of camera on the infrared. That's also the infrared, the cake lady. And then Lee, in case you don't know Lee, he is a fantastic post-processing. He's an Adobe wizard. He's got every kind of commendation you possibly can imagine. This is shot with the infrared, but he really worked on this for me. So when we talk about traveling, sometimes traveling it can be just in your own backyard. I really get into shooting powwows. There's a particular one in Idaho that I go to. And again, I use every trick I possibly can. Late afternoon light, late light. In some of these, I just kind of wanted to show you this because sometimes when you're doing travel photography, you know, you can go out someplace and you're surrounded by people. For these two pictures, this is Walter Old Elk and his son. If you were standing next to me at eye level, right now you look like you'd be thinking you're seeing the plains out there. You're in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing out there. There's some teepees. He couldn't hear me because we were surrounded by kids and dogs and families and everybody's barbecuing and cooking and people are selling jewelry and running around and there's trash everywhere. It was chaos. So you eliminate. You get down low and you look up. So sometimes it's not what you shoot, it's what you don't shoot. You know, it's like getting out of the way. A few years ago, well, it was a year and a half ago, went to Myanmar. Lisa is here right now. She came with me on this trip. And Myanmar was fantastic. It still is fairly unexplored in terms of its tourism. It's not overwhelmed yet, although it keeps growing and growing. Right around the capital city of Yangon, there was the Circle train, and it cost $1 for foreigners, and it's 20 miles. And everybody travels on this train. All the locals travel on this train. So this is a little bit of journey on the Circle train. And I just kept walking up to people and photographing them. And people, you know, they bring on their bananas and people jump off and on the train. They're selling stuff. I talk to everybody. I get them to look at me. I get them to interact. Some people are a little more serious than others. Also looking out the train window. I mean, you got to try a little bit of everything. The kids, I always love the kids. So now I'm outside and looking in and here, the kids just hanging off the train. This is not the United States. You'd never allow this to happen in this country. I love kids. I love playing with the kids because they're always so open. You know, they're willing to play. This is the Eggman. Young monks. And you got to have some fun. So I call these the monkettes. You know, they're the young female. There should be the nunettes, actually. And then we have the young monks. And so we did this, and we got some umbrellas, and we just kind of played with the kids. Had a good time. I've been to Dubai 12 times now, and I've also been to Oman 3 times. So I've kind of like grouped this all together. I start off with this just because this is the tallest building in the world. And this is a young man who's an up-and-coming business executive, and I wanted to do the silhouette of him with the tallest building in the world in the background. Everything you've heard about Dubai is true. You know, this is the 4-story aquarium that's in one of the malls. You've got a ski mountain, you know, all of that. This is the Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi. But, you know, I love this picture because everybody wants to get a picture of their family and wherever they go. So it's basically a snapshot, but isn't this what we all want? We all want to know where we were. We all want to be a part of this. These are the guys that clean the mosque. So I love that they've got blue brooms and they've got blue tile, and everything just all kind of like works together. One's destination is never a place, but a new way of seeing things. That's Henry Miller. I also have been, as the years have been going on, getting more and more pictures of people on their phones in unexpected situations. I'm really into falcons, so this is a great place for me to go because, you know, the falcon is the sport of the kings. And the fish market. With the Fuji lenses, you know, I love them. I love the bokeh that I get out of them. And the 56 1.2 is like my all-time favorite lens. So this is shot at 1.2. The only thing that's in focus here is his eye. One of the things that I like to do is that when I photograph people, and again, don't speak any other language, and I come up to men and I say, you know, may I photograph you? And, you know, I have a camera hanging around my neck, and they say, you know, yes, and they get very stoic. So I'll shoot a few pictures like that, and then I'll poke my head around the corner and I'll say, ha, 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 ha. And then I get this. So I have a great time with people wherever I go, and this works like for everything. This is in Oman. This is also in Oman. This is the goat seller, the master goat seller in Oman. I mean, it was just incredible. In Eid, which is one of their holidays, everybody dresses up. And, you know, a lot of women don't like to be photographed in the Middle East, but some of them are willing. This is just the faces, I think, are so great. Here's another cell phone one. Okay, Saudi Arabia. I was in Saudi Arabia for Aramco in 2008. This is the local Starbucks. I mean, this is the coffee house. So this is all shot natural light. It's all just with the door light, the window light. You know, they're really into their tea and their coffee. This man was like 92 years old and blind, and they really wanted me to photograph him. I love this because look at the guy in the background with the Versace t-shirt. It's like, okay, really? It's in the local bakery. They make about 1,000 loaves of bread every morning. Now, I'm in a full abaya. You know, this is in the marketplace in Jeddah. So I'm in a full abaya, and I have long pants and long sleeves under the abaya. That's required. I didn't have to wear a head, but I had all my hair pulled back. They weren't used to seeing photographers, never mind women photographers, never mind curly, red-headed, crazy American photographers. So it was pretty interesting because I attracted a lot of attention, but they were very open to all this. Now, in Saudi Arabia, I could not photograph the women, but the men were totally, they went and got me in the marketplace to photograph this. This bill has 3 different languages on it and is very rare. Now, they're never going to see this picture, but they wanted me to photograph it. They saw me and they went, oh, we have to have this. So here's another example of my Arabian men. They get very stoic, and then I do the ha, ha, ha. So it really works with everybody. Just a couple more pictures in here. There's a little fishing village called Qatar, something like that. So you see all of these, there's like thousands of dhows, and then you have all of these like presidential palaces that are in the background. So most of the fishermen are from India or from Bangladesh. Now, I'm standing on the pier in a full abaya, right? I'm in a full abaya. I'm covered head to toe, and these guys are going, oh, wow, look, there's a woman over there. They were flipping out. The fishermen, you see all these guys standing there? This is the fishing boats go out like this. I'm yelling, I'm on the pier yelling at them going, hey, hey, everybody, come on. Come over here, let me take your picture, like, come over to the edge. And they're going, who is this crazy white chick? You know, what is going on with her? So this is the longer lens. And there you can see how far away they are from me. And then I start going, ha, ha, ha. And they all crack up laughing. Okay, I just came back from Turkey. I'd been to Istanbul a few years ago, but Lee and I did a travel trip to Turkey this year. And I love Turkey. I love the people. I love Istanbul. This is the Hagia Sophia, which I think is one of the most amazing pieces of architecture in the world. Looking for the light. I'm always looking for the light and trying to get people in this light that's going to tell a story. This was really interesting. This is where they cook goats. They put them in these deep wells, and they kind of like, you know, it's like a baking thing. And the place was so dark, the only thing you could do was bring out a fluorescent tube to show us. In Istanbul, the men gather together and they play chess, they play backgammon, and they play dominoes. And they drink tea and they hang out and talk to one another. We were invited in to this little establishment, and we spent about a half an hour in there photographing people. It was just absolutely wonderful. I'm not much of a street shooter because, as I said, I normally approach people, but every once in a while, you know, you got the guy in orange sweeping the streets, you've got to do that. So this is Ephesus. I mean, this is, again, one of the infrareds. Some of these aren't classic portraits, but it's still people in the place. So, you know, I'm trying to give you a sense of where we are. We were in Cappadocia, and this was with the photo group that we were with. So the balloons take off at dawn every morning. I mean, just absolutely amazing. And then, you know, you can always rent a camel for a few rides just to go hang out and play. Now, these aren't classic portraits, but they're really stoic. Waiting for somebody to laugh here. Thank you very much, the man in the front row. Okay, so this is Mount Nemrut, and you have to climb this mountain at 4 o'clock in the morning so that you're there for dawn. But we really didn't have much light, so we took little portable flashes and lit up the statues that were there. And at the base where you start to climb, they have people who, like, you know, sell you little miniature statues that you can take home. So this is one of them. And then on our road right around there, here's a herder And we stopped at this little tiny village that was the size of this room in here. And you know, this kid is chasing a cow. How can you not get that? I mean, that's just like, it's historically funny. Here the woman didn't want to be photographed, but she was okay if I photographed her child. I love going to the marketplaces, to the real marketplaces, to the places where the local people shop. And in this particular marketplace that we went to, it was just fantastic light. Everybody had like a little tent overhang, so you have all that porch lighting. Everybody has great light in their eyes. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And everybody wants to be photographed. They loved this. They loved having people around. They loved us talking to them. They weren't like, you know, that, nobody was shy. I don't think that anybody turned me down here. I always ask people to photograph them, and I don't think that anybody turned me down. But this was a completely local marketplace. There's no tourists that come to this. This is where people go and they buy their food and they get their barrels made, and then there's a young man that serves them tea. Now I want you to look at the pants here. In this particular village and in this surrounding area, they wear these big baggy pants. They're like hanging down to here. And I don't know where that came from. It's traditional, but that's the way it is. There's again is a guy in his baggy pants. So it's just looking for the light and trying to capture people. Now this is in a bigger town, and there are tourists here, but they're mostly Turkish tourists. So again, but there's people just working. It's the work people in the marketplace. This was really interesting. I kept running into young men working in different places in the marketplace that did all this stuff over their eyes. They did all the eyeliner and made it really intense. So, you know, he's a butcher. But I just thought that was really interesting. I hadn't seen that before. Coffee maker, coffee grinder. You know, they do love their Turkish tea and their Turkish coffee. And this was really interesting too, because a lot of women don't like to be photographed there, but these women were all okay, but they did have to ask their husband's permission. We spent a little bit of time outside of the marketplace, and we met some of the Syrian refugees. We were pretty much in eastern Turkey at this point, and these were all Syrian refugees. Now, I have to show you this. You see this plate? Okay, Lee and I bought that plate, and we put it in our luggage that got in the outside pocket, and when we got to our back to Istanbul, it wasn't there anymore. But I have a picture of it. I did own it for a little bit of time. Finding these little moments, I think is just like so special. I mean, this lady's got the curtain over her head. And in the Grand Market in Istanbul, there's, you know what, we figured out there's something like, there's over 1 billion items for sale in that Grand Market. And there's tea runners everywhere. Okay, this is where you get your fast food, on the boats. Okay, the last one I'm going to show you is Ethiopia. And Ethiopia is, I've been there a couple of times now. It's an amazing journey. Wait, I have another, let's see. A traveler without observation is like a bird without wings. That's Mosli Edin Sadi. And, you know, sometimes you just need to stand back and watch. It's not that you need to get immediately involved, but you need to see what it is that's going on. Now, Ethiopia, most people don't know that Ethiopia is mainly a Christian country. About 70–75% of the population is Christian. And they're very devout. So the women are devout, the men are devout. They have Sunday services are just absolutely gigantic. This was actually our guide in the church. And I just loved his face. And this is a priest that was outside. So again, notice what I'm doing with the light. It's like I'm always trying to find people and get them in the light, or to turn them so that I'm going to get the light the way that I want. I'm in Addis Ababa, which is a town of about 5 million people. There's a lot of poverty there, but there's one of the most incredible marketplaces I've ever seen. It goes on for miles, and you can get so easily lost in it. It's not the cleanest or the safest place, but it's absolutely fascinating. So this guy's, it's again, that porch light, it's just fantastic. This little girl and her mother. They're so beautiful. The Ethiopian people are absolutely stunningly beautiful people. Now, in Addis Ababa, on the top of the hill, there is a sanctuary and a temple. It's not really a church, but people go up there and they pray. They can go up there and have a retreat, and some people live there year-round. So this is actually a monk He let me photograph him, but other people I saw him, see that stick he's got? He actually chased people away with the stick. But he's obviously looking at me here, and I kind of like, you know, I always bow to people, and he was okay with that. This is actually a nun that lives up there. I was in Ethiopia twice, about a year and a half apart, and she lives in this tarp shack. And she was also fine about being photographed. This is what people do. It's a totally different way of life. You know, this is one of my all-time favorite quotes. This is Mark Twain. Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. Because the truth is that once you get out there into the world, you realize that all of us are the same. So I'm making my transition now into the tribes of the Omo Valley. And when you come here, this is kind of like you're looking like out of an old National Geographic magazine. It's all the things you've heard about, seen, you know, that's so completely, totally different from what our way of life is, from what the Western civilized way of life is. Yet these people don't have much by our standards, but they're happy. They're happy, they have community, they farm, they have cattle, they have goats, they have rituals, they have a great sense of community in marketplaces, and they're very happy in the way they live. They don't have electricity, they don't have running water, they don't have anything that we would consider to be normal. They live in grass huts with mud floors. We're all the same. The truth is that all of us, anywhere in the world, when we get up in the morning, what do we want? We want to have something to eat. We want to feel like we're part of the community. We want to love. We want to be loved. We want to feel that we're worthwhile. It's all the same. So strip away all of this. We're all human beings on this planet right here, right now. There isn't any difference between us except the color of our skin and the clothes that we wear, and that means nothing. Because the truth is that we're still all living, breathing on this planet. It's all the same. So I kind of feel that this is what I'm trying to show people, is that all of these people are the same, and everybody runs across the same problems, and we just have different kinds of solutions. These people can't throw money at their problems. They have to solve their problems. But they're so beautiful. I love these guys. Look at this guy with the glasses. They had the best time. I got them laughing. I got to go back to this for a second, because you see this, they're sitting on like a saddle. You see this over here? Okay, so they carry that around with them so that wherever they are, they have a seat. They always have some place to sit. So when you see this guy here, that's what he's holding in his hand. He's holding his little saddle. The girls in the marketplace, again, I got them laughing. If you notice the girl, she's got a watch band hanging down from her neck. That became a fad for a while, was to do the watch band as jewelry. I just saw this guy walking around with a chicken. So I put him in the shade. This guy, I mean, the faces are so intense. I mean, you see how blue his nose is? I mean, his skin is so deep and so shiny, he's reflecting the blue sky, as well as you can see me in his eyes in there. I had a great connection with this woman. I love the light on her, but she was like an elder woman in this village, a tiny little village that was maybe half of the size of this room. And that was right before I was leaving. This is a great warrior. All the scarification that you see, I mean, he's battled. I mean, these are all representations of battles that he's been in. And here you can see this is how a lot of the people live. So, you know, there's all these different kinds of tribes, and they have different kinds of rituals, but they're still all very different from what we know. And they don't know we're coming, so they're not dressing up for us because they don't have any telephones. They don't know that they haven't been called by the tour company saying, oh yeah, we're bringing a group of 20 people are going to be coming by today, so put your best costumes on. Okay, so the bottle caps is another phase. Okay, the way that they do their hair. I love this old lady. Look at that band she's got around her head. It says, handle with care. This guy is old, but look at his arms. I mean, look how he's just like so built. So I've spent a lot of time now in Ethiopia, and in the couple of years, the difference between the first trip and the second trip, I really saw how there's more and more tourism there. They're building better roads to the Omo Valley, which means that more people can get there. So what's happening is that people are coming in now and paying them, and the people are being willing to objectify themselves for money. And it's a very, very sad sad transition. The kids aren't going to school because if they run along the side of the road and people will stop and then they get paid to get their picture taken, then they're willing to do that. This lady here is blind, and in this particular tribe, what they do is they put ochre and goat fat and they curl their hair like that. And after many, many years of putting ochre in your hair, it causes blindness. But that doesn't stop them. But they're still so sweet. I mean, they're still just like, they're lovely people. They love each other. They're happy to have us. This is the, there's a ceremony called the bull jumping. It's a passage for a young man to advance in his community and then be able to pick a wife eventually, or to be able to have a wife. I'm not showing you the bull jumping ceremony, but part of this was getting ready for it. And this man in the middle just successfully jumped the bulls, and these are his two best friends who were looking out for him. Everybody else is gone at this point. So the last part of this is the Mercy tribe. Now the Mercy tribe are the furthest away. They are the most primitive. They do everything. They do scarification. They do the painting. They do the lip plates. So this is what I'm going to show you. And this is just the last few pictures. I know I'm just about out. I'm almost done. Okay, so these are the lip plates. And again, we just show up. They don't know that we're coming. These people are like way, way, way out there. All of this way of life is ending because they're building a dam, and all of these people are going to be displaced. This way of life is going to be gone. So this is what the lip looks like without the lip plate, and this is what it looks like putting the lip plate in. Isn't that fun? It's a little scary. I do have to say that the larger the lip plate, the higher the status and beauty in the community. So this is all the Mercy tribe. And now the last couple of pictures are from the Kara. And these guys have machine guns, you know. They have nothing else, but they have machine guns. I don't know why they need them. It's a long story about that. Okay, see, I was trying to get the girls to laugh. The one on the right, she wasn't having anything to do with this. Okay, last, Mercy, this is now the Kara tribe. They are up on the Omo River. They're up on a bluff. And these are really wonderful, sweet, loving people, even though they're carrying guns. They do this thing where they puncture a hole there and they put anything through there, little flowers. But look at their faces. I mean, they're just like so absolutely beautiful. Okay, and here's the final shot. So this is the chief of this Kara tribe up on the bluff, and he's lit with one portable flash and a small 20-inch softbox and balanced with the light in the background. And then I set this up and photographed him, and then I saw the boys, and I asked the boys to come and get into the background so that they're almost silhouette. So wait, I have one more quote for you. I'm also a baseball fan. Okay, so this is in deference to Yogi Berra, and it does relate to travel. Whenever you get to a fork in the road, take it. Thank you very much for coming. Okay, have a great rest of your time here. Enjoy, and thanks for staying. I appreciate it.